welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in to Fathers Have Rights. The Bible states in John 10:10, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And it further states by Jesus when he said, I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. So all praise to God. The enemy will not win and ruin all lives, I pray. The enemy steals not only for money and belongings, the enemy also steals our children. The enemy also destroys the family dynamics. I'm going to go over some of my case files through the investigations over the years with you. And you will see that the evidence we've compiled shows the systematic weaponization of our justice system to intentionally destroy the family dynamics, intentionally get the fathers out of the lives of the children. And we will start by reviewing what fathers' rights is about and establishment of it. Some case files. Today we'll go over a little bit, but continue watching and subscribe to my channel, and we're going to go over a lot of my evidence and case files together, okay? So thanks for tuning in. Ultimately, the light wins, so God wins, obviously, and fathers do have rights, okay? We need to reestablish the family dynamics. The enemy has even disturbed my life, which I will get into my personal life with you in the future. Right now, I'm excited to tell you that we've officially filed for an EIN for a nonprofit for Fathers Have Rights. So let's get into it and start going over some content together, okay? Ultimately, with a lot of coordinated individuals that have weaponized our justice system, it's really bad, and that's why the trumpets will sound, okay? So there's no means for me to do anything other right now than to share my evidence with all of you. Fathers Have Rights. Introduction. The relevance of a piercing and initial statement of natural design and creation. The trumpets will sound. Fathers Have Rights is the inherent rights to all fathers who have constitutional and statutory rights recognized by the U.S. courts, especially under rulings like Troxel versus Granville, which affirms that parents have a fundamental right to make decisions about their children. Fathers Have Rights protects parental rights, the right to custody, legal custody, physical custody, parenting time, visitation rights, decision-making rights, including the right to make decisions about religion, education, medical care, mental health treatment, extracurricular activities, where the children live, daily supervision, providing food, shelter, and clothing. Fathers also have right to access records, right to protect the children, right to financial support, right to discipline, right to consent or refuse medical care, right to travel with the children, and the right to raise the children without governmental control. All fathers shall be equal before the law. Okay, now this is a breakdown of every category I just named. Feel free to pause the screen to read through it. Fathers Have Rights in coordination with the Center to Human Rights, the 12 Rights. Introduction, Executive Summary. dedicated to upholding the fundamental rights inherent to all human beings, founder of Fathers Have Rights, that's me, has been investigating all systems for over 24 years, including but not limited to the justice system, medical systems, Department of Corrections, courts, individuals, including public actors and state actors. After a superior investigation, I found corruption at every level. I saw cases in which I investigated. Each individual who had their rights violated have been victims of a systematic weaponization of the justice system in a coordinated attempt to violate each identified circumstance, with many fathers affected. Therefore, the naming of this firm, Fathers Have Rights. In the continuous efforts and investigations which are ongoing, the foregoing was documented and deleted evidence retrieved. A system discovered in which coordinated effort to weaponize the justice system, an entire elitist system, which is a collaborated effort to attack targeted individuals, including fathers and parents, with gaslighting, gang stalking, harassment, use of the justice system to take the child or children away from the rightful parent, the parent who typically showed a belief in God and faith, and to further ruin an individual's entire life from physical health, mental health, well-being, strip them away from their work, their home, safety, and more. These were extreme and egregious crimes against humanity, violations against humans perpetuated to the fullest possible threat level, leaving some individuals to find no escape other than self-harm or in most circumstances, it is the faith-based individual who was targeted and their children taken away by the parent or the system in order to then have full control over that child or children, intended to raise them under their false narrative and influence, rather than the influence of truth. Investigations reveal individuals operating within a syndicated system with attacks consisting of false narratives, falsified police reports, falsified FBI reports, and false arrests, all coordinated within individuals whom we label as the beast system. A system of corrupt individuals to ensure they destroy a targeted individual whom they so choose or chose to have on their termination list. This system included individuals that are employees in all facets of society, including but not limited to politicians, police officers, FBI, medical experts, judges, medical professionals in psychological industries, attorneys, business owners, corporate strategists, tech industry moguls, the medical industry, music industry, film industry, and many more. Rising inequalities across the globe have emerged with many defining challenges. Severe inequalities both within and among countries jeopardize sustainable family development, hinder parental obligations, threaten stability, and undermine fathers' rights, children's rights, grandparents' rights, and our inherent human rights to which we are entitled. Our rights in our new era, fathers have rights, acknowledging the inherent dignity and equal, inalienable rights of all fathers, serves as a cornerstone of establishing the right to their parental rights per the Constitution. Every father and parent is entitled to enjoy all the rights and freedoms outlined in this declaration without discrimination of any kind, including race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or any other status. Additionally, no differentiation shall be made based on the political, jurisdictional, or intentional status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether it is independent, under trusteeship, non-self-governing, or subject to any other form of sovereignty limitation. Investigations and reported filings describe coordinated actions and severely disrupted and deprived the integrity of the family structure. During these investigations, I found accounts that indicate individuals were repeatedly subjected to verbal threats that law enforcement would be called on them, and these parents were halted from attempting to contact or communicate with their children, even when a court order was in place for such communication. Such conduct left certain fathers in a prolonged state of fear and psychological distress, creating an environment in which they felt unable to exercise their role as parents without intimidation. I have evidence gathered in these matters has been presented to suggest that these fathers were disproportionately targeted and placed in situations designed to undermine their parental standing. Long heralded as humanity's highest aspiration, the protection of parental rights and now fathers have rights through the rule of law remains essential to safeguarding the family unit and ensuring that parents may exercise freedom of speech, belief, and parental responsibility without fear, coercion, or deprivation. Without such protections, individuals may be driven to view resistance as a last resort against perceived tyranny and oppression. We provide support to individuals whose rights have been violated. And we do focus in this firm, Fathers Have Rights, particularly on fathers. We do coordinate with the 12 rights, the Center to Human Rights, as a whole for any civil rights or human rights violations as well. We are committed to providing assistance, including education to targeted individuals and advocacy services to individuals who cannot afford representation. This is merely a parental rights and advocating for you to work tirelessly to ensure that justice is accessible to everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Through our efforts, we strive to uphold the principle that everyone deserves equal protection and opportunity, for it is their inherent right. We conduct workshops, seminars, outreach programs to educate individuals and communities about their rights and the tactics of oppression that may be surrounding them. Legislative review, investigative findings, and proposed policy development. Through documented investigations, extensive findings have revealed recurring patterns of human rights violations, civil rights infringements, institutional neglect, abuse of authority, and systematic failures affecting vulnerable individuals and families. These investigations serve not only as evidentiary records of misconduct and societal harm, but also as foundational frameworks for legislative review, policy reform, and the development of proposed bills intended to strengthen protections under state, federal, and international human rights principles. In the future, we will be working alongside legislative bodies, policymakers, etc. Okay? We need administrative accountability mechanisms, and that's where we come in. In each investigation, documented concerns included things relating to violations and infringements involving parental rights, children's rights, including the right of a child to maintain contact and relationship with a parent. Human rights protections, abandonment of the poor, abandonment of distressed and underprivileged individuals, neglect, civil rights violations, and deprivations involving the right to life, liberty, freedom, security, health, family, integrity, adequate living standards, education, work, privacy, free speech, religious freedom, freedom of assembly, freedom from association, freedom of opinion and expression, equal protection under the law, nationality rights, asylum rights, and freedom from discrimination, torture, slavery, arbitrary arrest, and unlawful detention or exile. Further findings include abusive litigation practices, abuse of power, civil harassment, negligence, evidentiary tampering, conspiracy, co-conspiracy, defamation, invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and negligent infliction of emotional distress. The investigations also identified concerns relating to the procedural fairness, due process deficiencies, barriers to access to justice, and the impact of institutional failures upon vulnerable populations, families, and children. By organizing these documented investigations alongside applicable Constitution provisions, statutory authorities, administrative regulations, judicial precedents, and recognized human rights standards, I took the initiative to combine just at least a few case studies, though I have many case studies and evidence, so we could utilize the findings in the future to evaluate potential corrective actions and hopefully work on drafting proposed legislation to enhance governmental accountability. Protecting vulnerable populations is very important. Improving judicial and administrative transparency, strengthening evidentiary safeguards, preserving family integrity, and ensuring equal protection and due process under the law. These investigative compilations may further support legislative hearings, policy review, governmental audits, oversight committee evaluations, and interdisciplinary collaboration between lawmakers, legal experts, advocacy groups, and community stakeholders to develop comprehensive reforms designed to prevent future harm, increase institutional accountability, and uphold the fundamental rights and liberties guaranteed under law. Education. For me, something I'm excited about with Fathers Have Rights is educating individuals about their awareness, okay? By increasing awareness, we empower people to confront injustices and seek the protection they are entitled to. As Matthew 10:16 states, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." So we should know the tactics that have been taking place, okay? We cannot stay oblivious to it. Knowledge is power. Knowing your surroundings is power. We help you identify any potential threats, gaslighting, intentional hindrances placed in your path, and anything that may be preventing a case from being successful. In our individualized program, we enlighten you to truth so you are in full awareness of how to succeed. Through these partnerships, we can address a broader range of human rights issues and provide more comprehensive support to those in need. We focus on building the capacity of local communities to advocate for their own rights. I would like to say actually capacity of each individual as well, because the goal here is the family dynamics, okay? Fathers have rights, investigations, and laws violated. This is just listing and just part of one case study, because as you know, I've been doing this for years. The mistreatments include anything against parental rights, children's rights, including the right to see their parent. As I said, human rights, abandonment of the poor, abandonment of distrust, neglect, abandonment of the underprivileged, civil rights, right to life, right to freedom, right to an adequate standard of living, right to health, right to have a family, right to security, to liberty, asylum, freedom from slavery, freedom for torture, right to work, free speech, privacy, education, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, right to trial. That's serious. A lot of hindrances put on these individuals, clients that during the investigations, that they definitely hindered you to the best of their ability from proceeding to try to get your children back. Right to freedom of opinion, right to freedom of expression, right to non-discrimination, right to nationality, right to not be subjected to arbitrary arrest, right to not be subjected to exile, right to be equal before the law, abusive litigation, abuse of power, civil harassment, negligence, tampering of evidence, conspiracy, co-conspiracy, defamation, invasion of privacy. Okay, IIED, NIED. All right. So let's just go over a little bit more together for this first episode. And we'll continue, of course, on episode 2. Fathers have rights. This is investigation for case numbers collective, case client A. These are a collective number of cases with an assimilated and syndicated plan of attacks against client A, with a coordinated conspiracy and co-conspiracy effort with individuals, public actors, state actors, government officials, police officers, and more against client A, who was a victim of gaslighting, brutal attacks, stalking, EMP attacks, and multiple violations in a coordinated harassing attempt against him. So let's keep going. Laws violated are listed on collective case numbers in this section. So we're going to go over maybe just part of one today. These are just some laws that I only put on this document for the case of formation of Fathers Have Rights. There are many more. Okay, so you just get a gist of how syndicated and weaponized this whole system is against regular people like you and I. Okay. 28 U.S.C. 1738A, Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act of 1980. And then we'll go over the rest together next time. But let's just get down to number 1. These are just a couple. But let's just go down and move forward to read number 1 together, okay? All right, the Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act of 1980. Definition: 28 U.S.C. 1738A, enacted as part of the Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act of 1980. Enacted December 28, 1980, is a federal statute titled Full Faith and Credit Given to Child Custody Determinations. It requires states to give full faith and credit, enforce and respect to child custody and visitation orders issued by courts in other states, provided those orders were made consistently with the jurisdictional standards. The primary goal is to prevent jurisdictional conflicts between states, reduce forum shopping, discourage parental abductions or kidnappings across state lines, and promote stability and finality in custody matters in the child's best interest. This statute works alongside in conjunction with state laws like the UCCJEA, okay, which most states have adopted to implement similar rules. I am not an attorney. I'm just reading definitions, so full disclosure, okay? I'm just reading definitions. The appropriate authorities of every state shall enforce according to its term and shall not modify except as provided herein any custody determination or visitation determination made consistently with provisions in a court. Okay, you guys can read all this on your own. Key points and applications. The home state is a priority. Modification, restrictions, emergency jurisdiction, enforcement. Okay. Case evaluation. Defendants engaged in wrongful conduct to deprive client A of his children, violating parental rights, disregarding the mandate to respectful law custody determinations, when moved from one court to another, and procedural maneuvers relative to this in terms of modification restrictions. Each entry includes evidence labeled showing a coordination attempt by defendants and involved parties such as attorneys, judges, and agents to deprive client A, the plaintiff father, of his children through wrongful conduct, including restrictions on placement, procedural maneuvers, incarceration, related barriers, and ultimate termination of parental rights, while disregarding the mandate 28 U.S.C. 1738A that states must enforce and not improperly modify lawful custody determinations from other courts without proper jurisdiction or process. Okay. Excuse me. Paternity judgment by default. Circuit Court of Sheboygan County entered a default paternity judgment for 3 minors signed by a judge, approved as to form by Ryan O'Rourke. This establishes the initial lawful custody framework for client A of his children under the paternity actions, which subsequent actions are properly restricted or superseded without the full compliance with modification requirements for full faith and credit obligations. Evidence tabbed A2. Order dismissing, denying TRO. Order dismissing a petition for TRO based on party stipulation signed by the judge. This reflects an early procedural step where a child abuse injunction was dropped in favor of modifying paternity judgments to impose placement restrictions on the father, bypassing standard contested processes. Evidence A23, complaint filed against client A for second-degree sexual assault, where plaintiff admits the plaintiff who filed this against him admitted, and it is on the police report, of having multiple occurrences. It's on 2 police reports of having multiple occurrences against multiple others, multiple filings against multiple other defendants, and including 1 rape against another defendant and another assault against another. A repetitive pattern by plaintiff was shown here and admitted by plaintiff. The defendant, client A, stopped when asked to stop, and even further admits he helped me pull my pants up as he did stop when asked to. There's a lot of files here where the plaintiff admitted many things and there was contradictory evidence. The evidence should be reviewed. The statements are very important to be reviewed. Lots of contradictions in these statements. So let me read that again. Yet the defendant was still charged and detained and the evidence shows multiple contradictions in plaintiff's reporting, okay, and family reporting. Many contradicting statements from the reporting. A24, supplemental report, memo from DA asking for a follow-up from ex of client A, the mother of the 3 children who filed TPRs against client A, hereinafter referred to as HFK or K, mother of children, and contacted the department to give the DA more information on client A. Defendant in criminal charge A23, HFK, mother of 3, suggested to DA that client A had on a laptop 20 movies or videos wherein he watched inappropriate content, attempt to implicate client A in further charges. Asked by officer of laptop in possession, HFK denied laptop in possession, no evidence found. A25, voluntary statements by plaintiff A&H and her mother showcasing multiple discrepancies. A26, statement by emergency detention by law enforcement officer witness in the Department of Community Programs, Wisconsin Statute Board. A27, United States Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Criminal Justice Information Service Division. Evidence B, May 18, 2015 letter from the guardian ad litem, where he wrote to Judge Edward Stingle confirming his role for all 3 minors in recent child abuse injunction hearings before the Judge Burke. Parties agreed to dismiss injunction and instead modify paternity judgments to restrict the father's placement pending treatment progress. This shows coordination among the GAL, attorneys, and judges to convert a dismissed abuse claim into permanent restrictions on the father's parental rights via agreement rather than full evidentiary hearing. B1, May 20th, 2015 orders in paternity cases, 3 separate orders for minor 1, minor 2, and minor 3. Filed in Sheboygan County Circuit Court, consolidated into a single case, signed by Judge Edward Stingle and drafted by Attorney John Hawley. These implemented placement restrictions on the father. These orders represent a coordinated modification of the existing paternity judgments from AA drafted by the GAL attorney and approved by the judge without apparent full notice hearing on the merits or respect for PKPA's requirement. Enforcement of prior lawful determinations. B3, October 30th, 2019 notice of release. Notice regarding release of funds, all funds to offender and none received. This ties the later supervision revocation actions that kept the father incarcerated or under restrictions, limiting his ability to parent or contest custody matters. B4, March 26, 2015 letter from city attorney, an elder person and others placing the father's beverage operator's license application on a committee agenda. This illustrates collateral administrative pressure on the father's livelihood coordinated with family court actions to undermine his stability and parental fitness claims. B6, order to appear in Circuit Court, Branch 5 on October 1, 2015, signed by the judge, commissioners. This reflects ongoing court proceedings that maintain pressure and restrictions on the father amid the custody modifications. Okay, this keeps going. Okay, this is not, these are not minor issues. All my cases, the coordination and syndication is this severe. Okay. So where was I? Was I on B7? B7. Letter and later contempt actions. Father sent letter to Judge Burke enclosing statement of services and proposed order for payment. Later, order to show cause for contempt, notarized November 2016, signed by Judge Stingle, hearing December 2016. These financial contempt proceedings added layers of legal entanglement, diverting resources and portraying the father as non-compliant to justify further custody restrictions. Do you see how bad it is? It gets really bad. B9, evidence, waivers and custody form. The form signed by Supervisor Adam Bislinski, assigned agent Jared Riemann, deciding the father shall be held in custody based on beliefs he is dangerous, likely to flee, engage in criminal behavior, or violate supervision rules. This supervision decision directly impeded the father's ability to exercise parental rights or appear in family court as a part of broader restrictions following earlier custody orders. B10, December 28, inmate work program assignment instructions removing the father from one assignment and placing him in another, signed by Hoffman, this reflects institutional control during incarceration that limited his autonomy and ability to address or contest the ongoing deprivation of his children. B11, November 12, 2018, Program Discharge Summary for a program, July 9 to November 9, 2018, signed by a social worker. Completion or involvement in such programs was likely used as evidence or lack thereof in arguments for unfitness or failure to assume responsibility in termination proceedings. So, if you have one person that's gaslit and they coordinate individuals from every single angle, and all this evidence is tied together, okay? It's not enough for them to just intimidate you once. They'll keep going and going and going, and their goal is to make you give up, become homeless, stop even trying to file anything in court. That's literally their intimidation and gang stalking technique, okay? I think I read B11. Yep. B14, notice of violation and recommended revocation, action 1 year, 4 months, 25 days confinement. Notes, no preliminary hearing required due to alleged signed admission, which does not exist. This revocation process, lacking proper admission or hearing, extended incarceration and prevented the father from maintaining contact or defending against termination. The TPRs, that they filed on him as part of coordinated barriers. So that's what they keep doing. B16, the B series, a lot of the B series that I have shows termination of parental right orders for the case number filings, as you can see on the screen. Electronically signed, finding the father unfit based on abandonment and failure to assume parental responsibility, terminating his rights while transferring custody guardianship to the mother of her significant other, AK pending adoption. These final orders represent the culmination of the coordinated attack using prior restrictions, alleged non-compliance facilitated by incarceration, supervision, and default-like findings to permanently deprive the father of his children without full respect for the initial law or lawful paternity determinations of the mandates against improper modification of custody orders. Okay, overall pattern of coordinated wrongful conduct. Sorry, I get heated. Okay. The evidence collectively demonstrates a sequence of interconnected actions across the board, the GAL, city administrative bodies, and supervision incarceration systems. These impose and enforce placement restrictions on the father starting from 2015 since entrapment took place, and framing client A, including either exaggerations by plaintiffs or fully falsified reports and implications alongside paternity modifications through stipulations and agreements after dismissing abuse claims. Compounded by collateral pressures, license, contempt programs, extended custody via supervision revocation, often without proper process or admission. And culminated in 2019 TPR findings of unfitness and abandonment. This deprives client A of his children while violating due process, parental rights, protections, and Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act's requirements that states enforce and not freely modify prior lawful custody determination made consistently with federal standards, particularly where no clear showing of proper jurisdiction. Fifth, substantial change with notice hearing or compliance with modification statutes occurred. Such actions effectively functioned as a de facto coordinated attack to sever the father-child relationship. Let's get into the protocol of handling entrapment in my next video, okay? I think this is a very good first video intro as to what our nonprofit is about, and I look forward to getting into more with you next time. So please subscribe, share, and let's expose the darkness together. Thank you so much for watching.